across different domains, part of which is BC, credit cards analytics team, and then moved on to HP, worked for 5 years at HP, was part of their consumer technology, helping optimize the the consumer-facing business of HP, essentially selling laptops and printers and how to do that better. The last role that I had, I was heading the global marketing operations and analytics team for this company called NetApp. So it's a small company headquartered out of Sunnyvale, and I was helping the marketing operations team optimize their entire enterprise marketing features, and digital was one of the channels by which they were actually selling storage solutions to their customers. Okay. All right. So I'm essentially an engineering graduate from Pittsburgh, 2003. Did my MBA from Indian School of Business, specialized in marketing and strategy. I call myself a speculative fiction junkie. Essentially, I read pretty much everything from fantasy fiction to horror and everything in between. But the last word here is what you should be focusing on. I'm really passionate about digital marketing as such, as a field, and been a couple of websites about myself there, which you can go and check out about me. So less about myself. Go back to the topic, right? Digital marketing landscape 2015. So the digital marketing landscape is pretty ubiquitous, right? So we're living in empowered times. So a couple of weeks back, if you guys read the Economic Times, in the first half of 2015 itself, India as a country has alone added 52 million users to the internet era, meaning people are connected using either mobile or any other device to the internet, right? So I think world over, 40% of the world population are using the internet. That's about 3 billion. So the fact is, there are 3 major pillars to making this whole digital connectivity ubiquitous. That small 5-inch screen that connects us to the rest of the world, right, 24/7. That's the mobile in your hand. So first thing in the morning and the last thing in the night, we keep checking the mobiles. We check mails before even we close our alarm. We would be continuously checking our WhatsApp messages and Twitter feeds, even as we sing lullaby to our kids in bed. So that pretty much keeps you connected to the rest of the world. And the third factor, which is actually brought about this whole revolution, is the power of cloud computing. Right? It has basically helped us break away from the shackles of being tied to a desktop server, and also has given us infinite amounts of computing power to help improve our marketing. We can do marketing better and faster using the power of cloud computing. So the small picture down story at the bottom of the slide that I show is actually the story, the paradox of choice that we are faced with today. Right? So earlier, any question or any query that we had, we would probably go to our trusted friends, word of mouth, right? So to help clarify the same. But today, the first thing we do is we obviously go to Google, right? The answer to pretty much everything. For example, let's say I was looking to find where's the closest dog sitter in the Whitefield area. So I'm personally a dog lover. So, and especially when I go on vacations, I want to make sure that my dogs have a good place to stay. So today, probably there is an app, right, or a marketplace online for dog sitting with all location-based mapping of the Whitefield kennels, offering their services to be in a jiffy. So you're pretty much spoiled for choice. That's the last picture out there, right? It's pretty much spoiled for choice when it comes to any questions that you have. So that is what I call the paradox of choice. And by the way, Paradox of Choice is a fantastic book. It's written by this guy called Barry Schwartz. Even though the whole book is written from a retail perspective, it nevertheless raises a lot of pertinent questions about today's age, right, of us being spoiled for choice. So moving on, about Okay, what I present to you now is essentially a hypothetical use case that is probably not too far away in the future, right? Imagine a newly married couple, they're moving into their first home and they're looking to buy a new television. So what they do is they essentially visit a lot of retailers online, and just give me a minute, guys. Just gonna make sure the module reads well. Okay, sorry. Yep. So, yeah. So essentially, what the first thing to do is jump online and visit all the retailers' websites online. They probably identify 3, 4 models that they really like. So all the good retailers or e-commerce retailers online, they let you use the feature called active wishlist, because you probably will come back and visit this when they have a better offer on it. After which, you are probably like me, and so you would want to do a touch and feel of what the product is like. So you tell yourself that, okay, I would like to actually go to a physical retailer as well. So physical outlet of the same retailer, right? So essentially use Google Maps, find out the location, drive down there, and what happens there? A transmitter that is mounted on the entrance of these shops actually identifies the couple, probably based on previous transactions that we had, right? So we've shared their contact numbers. We probably have their app installed on our phone. So essentially, they push a welcome message and they give you the personalized offers based on our previous online transaction. All that comes up in a jiffy on our mobile screen, right? So we're pretty happy. The quick links to our previous wish list that we shared. And we probably noticed that there is a sale notification, one of the models that we really liked. There is an extra discount. So we decided to probably go ahead and make that purchase. And we use the store map to actually go to the physical location of where the product is, situated within the store. We do WhatsApp chat with, either a robotic assistant or a store expert to get us, these clarified. After which, we obviously use the power of social media to confirm whether this purchase is good or not. So we look up reviews about this specific product. We reach out to friends. We post on Facebook to see what feedback comes in, either from friends or parents. We even do a competitive pricing check, because there are हजार apps out there today which lets you compare pricing, right? So well and good. We satisfied. We decide, well, let's go ahead and make the purchase, and we use our smartwatch to pretty much authenticate a payment, right? And this is the norm today, right? It's not really a very futuristic scenario. It's probably a norm today that this whole scenario works out. So what I'm trying to say here is the power is now transferred to us, the hands of the customer, if you're looking from customer point of view. So customer is not just king, he's probably beyond an emperor now. And all the brands are just queuing up to ensure that they are available to him at the right time, at the right place, with the right product. So the magic of digital has worked its way. So with that, let's jump into the actual trends, right? And the first trend that I talked about is cross-channel experiments. That started off sometime in 2014 with all the different brands trying out different ways of connecting and engaging with their target audience. And where are they going to in 2014, right? So if you look at the picture on your right side of the screen, right, it essentially talks about what is the time that is spent by an average customer across different screens, right? And what do they do across these times? So as you can see, majority of time is actually spent on emailing and browsing and doing social networking. 15% of the time is actually being spent on Word documents. So that's a big question mark for productivity. But nevertheless, that's the state of today, right? So the problem is the same customer is splitting his time across different devices, and thereby leading to different problems for the marketing crowd, right? So essentially, from an organization point of view, all these data is being, all this behavior is actually being stored in different silos. there is a lack of integration across these different silos, and we are forced to provide point solutions that is fragmented across these three or four different devices or channels that a consumer is engaging with. So there is a burning need to start integrating across these channels. So what are the major channels of delivery? We're looking at mobile, web, CRM, and point of sale. And how do we ensure that we start integrating? We need to have big data feeds that are connecting across these different multi-channels, right? So that we can get a single actionable view of the whole cross-channel journey of these customers. So interestingly, at my previous firm, NetApp, so where we're doing storage solution selling to enterprise customers, right? So we call this whole exercise, we actually did this exercise from ground up, and we call this the marketing touch analysis, wherein we are trying to ascertain if there is a pattern of touches for these customers who have converted for us, right? The whole leads are actually converting for us, but after different points of interaction with our brand across different channels. For example, does convert the leads who convert? Do they have a propensity to engage with us over web inbound channels first before they probably sign up for some webinars? Decide to go download collaterals, etc. online before finally connecting to the sales guys. So that's the need of the hour in terms of making sure that we start integrating across all the multi-channel channels that customers engage with us. So yeah, so in terms of what if you're a brand person or if you're a marketing person in the digital field, the actions that you need to take is you need to first identify the use cases of where your customers engaging with you across different channels, and also make sure that you do a proper data audit where you are actually reviewing the existing technology investments used to identify your customer journey from first touch. All right. Okay, so this is the use case or the business case study that I promised. With every single trend. So this is one of my not the top favorite, but definitely one of my favorite brands case study per se, right? So we essentially talk about Fasos here. Faso is a hyper local food on demand company. They claim themselves to be an on-demand food company that is disrupting how people are ordering food on mobile. Notice the stress on mobile. The reason I stressed on mobile is Faso, when they started off, was purely a retail-only company, right? So they were essentially selling wraps and rolls and competing with the likes of, say, a Domino's or a Pizza Hut. So what happened in late 2013 was the founder, this gentleman called Jaideep Barman. So he essentially decided we need to evolve from being just a mere chain of restaurant to being a technology-led model, right, that essentially focuses on providing just fresh food. So they've gone the whole cross-channel experiment these guys have gone through is fascinating. They started off as just purely retail outlets, then they brought in dial-in call center facilities where you can order food, and they obviously had a beautiful website, an inbound website for all the traffic that is coming in, which is also mobile enabled. Interestingly, they were the first company worldwide who claimed that they take food orders online using Twitter as a channel. Right? But today, they're only available as a mobile app. So I think it's been a month now since they've gone app only. And the founders justified the decision for going app only, saying 97% of Faso sales actually comes from the mobile channel, and hence let's just go app only. Right? So obviously this is fueled by a lot more reasons than that. India is the hotbed of smartphone users, right? The number of users in India for smartphone is 150 million today, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. So obviously using an app, the personalization angle comes in, right? So the whole taste and meal requirements can be tweaked based on somebody's previous order preferences, and the location and time of the explore. And obviously for the consumer, it's a much more hassle-free and convenient experience of ordering wholesome food. Right? And they claim to have very high, much higher retention rate after having gone through app only as channel. All right, so that was the story of FASOs, and the next trend that we're looking at is the digital ecosystem being split into two. Okay, now this I'm essentially referring to the fact that the marketing technology, we've had traditionally two major players. On one side of the spectrum, we have large vendors, and the other side of the spectrum, we have smaller niche players providing specialty solutions. But marketing technology today is undergoing a lot of changes, right? And at a rate that has not been seen before. And hence, the top of the market now is actually being further bifurcated. So the large vendors or the large technology providers themselves have split to include a new entrant, which is the media and social behemoth companies like your Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, etc. And there are three major factors that are driving such changes. One is the marketing technology market itself is supposed to grow by 12% year on year to get to 100 billion by 2020, right, according to Forrester. So that's a huge growth opportunity. So obviously there will be new players trying to muscle their way in and gain a share of that growing pie. There is a need for innovation. I talked about the cross-sell experiments and the consumers consuming content at a rate like never before across different devices. So there is a need for innovation to connect across these different devices, and hence that's another opportunity. The third is about the fact that these non-traditional players like a Google or an Apple, who have right now a lot of clout when it comes to their brand, right? They're entering the space. Now this has completely disrupted the whole marketing technology space itself. Now the best way to explain this whole trend would be to talk about something called Internet of Things. Internet of Things is becoming a reality, right? I don't know if you guys have seen the movie called Minority Report by Steven Spielberg. There's a scene where Tom Cruise is actually shifting things around on a screen, and he's disrupting reality on a digital screen. Right? So that day is actually not too far away, because we already have things like a smart fridge that would tell you when to eat your food, what is the total intake of calories, what's the right temperature to store different kinds of food. You probably have alarms, for your cooking and what have you. So, but the specific example that I'm walking you through here on the screen, on the slide, is about the car market. So technology disruptions are actually driving the whole market crazy. So if you know, in California, there are already driverless cars, which now are called Google cars, because most of the brand name that comes top of the mind recall is Google. Google cars running driverless around in California with minimal accidents or impacts, right? So we're talking about intelligent cars here. So earlier, 10% of the cars that they manufactured had built-in connectivity, and by 2020, that number is going to grow to about 90%. Right? Pretty much every other car that is, every nine cars or 10 is going to have all the features to help you be connected to the rest of the world at any time, all the time. The end output essentially is to make your whole drive time a lot more personal. Right? Examples would be to music changes based on your moods, to sync your calendar with the traffic situation outside, so that the car can actually alert you to the best time to leave, so as to make your next appointment in time. Now that would be a blessing, right, for all of us here, specifically in the city of Bangalore. That definitely is going to be like a blessing. Two specific examples that I'm talking about is the platform from Apple called Carplay. So essentially helps you interface your iPhone to your car's infotainment center, allowing you to control music, messages, calls, etc. Using your phone or on your phone through either voice or other display channels. The second example is Google is the biggest competitor here. So they've built something very similar, but obviously they've used their whole Android platform to fit onto their self-drive cars, which actually, yeah, the numbers speak here. So by the way, the self-drive cars have driven about 700,000 miles without an accident or an incident in California, right? So obviously more productivity, more safety, and convenience. So the day is not far when you're actually sitting in your car, driving to office, taking the meetings in the car, and using the windshield of your car to pretty much project your meeting content and pretty much take things on the road itself. So yeah, so I'm saying that with all these developments, disruptive developments, they're pretty much positive on average, right? So it reflects a growing market, and hopefully this rising tide is lifting pretty much all the boats in the harbor. So that's the second big trend that we're looking at in 2014. All right, unified view for a customer. So this goes without saying, right? And a classic use case that I put here is something that all of us have experienced, right? So the whole user experience of us trying to book a radio taxi or a call taxi to go to the airport early in the morning. So how do we do that today? We do that using different ways, right? So we can go to the website, for example, Ola. We could probably go to the Ola's website and book a taxi online. You could use, I think, but 95% of us would prefer to use the app to pretty much pick up a taxi, right? To pick me up now offer feature on the app. Or we could use their chat feature to talk to operators live on the website. You could also use their Facebook pages, or probably follow the Ola's Twitter handle if you're a Twitter fanatic. Or the last thing we should probably do now is pretty much call the call center. So there's a need for a single infrastructure to map across these 4 different identities, right? To make sure it's from an Ola point of view, we need to make sure that this is just one single customer, and we need to be able to tie across all these 4 or 5 different channels. So this ties back into the first trend, which is about the cross-channel experiment, and all we are stressing here is the underlying need to have a good infrastructure to capture all these different customer experiences and tie that in as one, to be able to identify him as one single customer. So obviously the advantages are far and many. Improved personalization, improved targeting, better returns, and we can pretty much fashion the different measurement programs for each of the specific channels. All right, this is actually one of my favorite case studies here. So all of us, I'm assuming most of us here are actually lovers of chai, right? So this something called chai point is what I'm going to talk about to stress the importance of having a unified view of a chai lover here, their main customer. So it so happens that a couple of years back, Amulik Singh, right? He's a Harvard MBA. So he decides to quit his cushy job in Singapore and he comes back to India, where tea or chai, as it is called in Hindi, is actually a mass consumption product, right? So he basically sees that the coffee chains are all over the place. It's actually become passive, right? Americans love their coffee, but the average Indian, he loves his chai. So it's as I said, it's a mass consumption product, and the actual consumption quantity of chai, of tea, is about 10 times bigger in volume compared to coffee. So Amulik Singh, he senses a greenfield opportunity, right, to grow the whole market. So while they initially start off as just brick and mortar stores, having just beautiful small kiosks and outlets. So by the way, I'm a huge fan of Chai Point, right? I love their masala chai and the banana cake. So yeah, going back to Chai Point. So right now what they've done, while they start off as just purely retail, they've smartly spread into other channels, right? All the other channels with offerings across the different channels. So if you go to their website, right, their positioning is very straightforward and very clear. Right? The biggest call to action is they're appealing to your love for chai, and they essentially asking you to order your chai right now. And also they've built a beautiful positioning around the daily chai concept, right? And comparing it daily chai to equating the daily chai to a newspaper uh, is like um, is like home run for most of the Indians, right? Because we love our morning newspaper with a cup of chai. Right? So it just goes on to say that uh, the whole experience of placing customer experience of placing tea online, tea order online, they've made this really appealing. Right? They made this really nice. Um, but the conclusion here is that on the backend side, they've ensured that they have one single unified view of the chai lover across all these different channels. So yeah, so that was about Chatbot. All right, the importance of first-party data, right? So we can't really ignore the fact that with the whole big data explosion happening, um, there is going to be a growing demand for data scientists, and the data scientists are going to dig the first-party data. So what is first-party data? It's nothing but information that every firm owns about its own customers, right? I could give you examples, and I'm going to walk you through that. But before that, right, if you focus on the graph here on the top right, um, it's a survey result and a graph from eMarketer that essentially stresses the importance of using first-party data to do different kinds of functions, right? So all of them unanimously agree that first-party data gives us maximum insight into customers, helps you justify your financial investments, helps you improve customer lifetime values, and also helps you give the best lift among all the other data sources. Now, what am I talking about? So initially, in a country like America, where most of the marketing happened using direct mail, right, as one of the best sources of reaching out to a customer, most of the data about a demographic or be it firmographic or any other kinds of data, these customer data was actually bought from third-party firms, right? Consider a bank like HSBC that is doing a demand generation tactic uh, to acquire more customers for its new card that they launched. So the data that they have about the customers, while they have their entire transactional history which they own, but a lot of credit bureau information is something that they used to buy from a third-party firm like an Equifax or an XP, right? So the problem today with using such data is that this is not fresh, so it's not enough for you to do enough contextual targeting, right? Obviously, it doesn't come cheap, and the advantage of using first-party data is that that is data from your own websites, right, on the channels that you own. So it doesn't really rely on tracking a customer movement across different sites. So data privacy issues are mitigated, and you're essentially way above any kind of regulatory laws that comes in on browser behavior, etc. All those things. So as a marketer, what do you need to be doing? We need to first locate a first-party data, right? We need to identify and document where are the sources of first-party data. It could be your own website that you own. It could be the mobile apps that you're inducing people to start using, or the CRM system by which you're actually reaching out and running marketing campaigns. And it could be a point of sale. Right? The second thing we need to be doing as a marketer is we need to start putting plans in place about how can you enhance the customer experiences by using a first-party data. Now, things will be a little more clearer when I jump to the the example. Right? Before we jump to the example, so the usage of first-party data essentially would be to drive personalization. So most of the CMOs agree that one of their top priorities for 2015 would be personalization and driving customer loyalty and advocacy. Right. So this person called Marco Milner, who heads the digital group for Edelman Portland. He summarizes this very beautifully. So he says, with the rise of connected devices and Internet of Things, consumers and products they buy are all capturing real-time streams of immensely valuable data. But he goes on to say that getting a customer to actually visit your website or fill a form is nothing compared to actually getting them to share things like your fitness monitor or a car data stream, right? So they all unanimously agree that the value of first-party data is going to skyrocket. But he also cautions us towards the challenge of capturing, securing, analyzing, activating this data to drive personalization. So obviously, yeah. So what I've laid down here in the bottom are the actual sources of your first-party data from a marketing point of view, right? So you have your website registrations, you have your entire past customer transactional data. If you're running a loyalty program, you have their loyalty card information. You have the entire digital behavior of somebody using your websites, and obviously you have the mobile app usage data. You have the email information about responses and the propensity to respond to email offers, and you have the entire sea of the social media that your customers are actually talking about your brand. Right? So these are sources of first-party data which you should be leveraging to drive personalization. Okay, so now moving on to the example that I really like. You've heard of this brand, Myntra.com, right? I'm sure a lot of you are big fans of Myntra.com. So the online fashion retailer called Myntra, they actually shocked a lot of consumers by deciding to go app only. And they actually did away with the website. And Myntra, which has been acquired by Flipkart, and the parent company Flipkart as well, is now thinking about going app only. So this has triggered off a sort of war of words in the whole social media out there, right? So when the Snapdeal CEO Kunal Bal actually called this whole strategy to be foolish, and they claim that Snapdeal is not going this way. So the war of the words is actually still going on, but the reality is that probably engagements on the mobile platforms outperform the desktop, right? And that is a known secret, right? Mobile is a very personal device for us, and it's much more affordable, and we carry it 24/7. But there is something that I would like to caution you about, this whole craze about going app only. It's that the whole engagement numbers that all these companies like a Myntra or a Flipkart claim about being extremely engaged with their end customers, this might just be over-indexed, right? Couple of reasons. One, the app probably has a shortcut in the home screen, right? And there is no way on earth you can ignore the notifications, the push notifications that the app sends to you. So on an average, each app in your mobile would probably send about 2 to 4 notifications a day. Imagine about 10, 15 apps that you pretty much install. You're looking at about anywhere from 60 to 100 notifications a day. I probably am over exaggerating the numbers, but now is that a good thing? Would the try come down heavily with such behavior? Right? Would they call it spam? The jury's still out on that one. We don't know about that. But for a company like Myntra, Mukesh Bansal, who's the outgoing CEO of Myntra, he beautifully summarized his reasons for going app only, right? So he says that fashion is a very personal experience, and the fact that we can use the power of mobile because we can capture a user's lifestyle and context in a manner that no other medium does. And this is so true, right? Because imagine when you're actually installing an app goes through a lot of permissions before getting installed. If we don't actually, if you mindlessly go ahead and say okay to pretty much all these permissions, that's a lot of power that you're giving to the hands of the marketing person. So imagine your location, imagine your photographs, your contacts, and what have you. So he goes on to say your camera, contact location, etc. So all of it is used to actually understand you know, one-to-one user context. So essentially, we're talking about the holy grail of marketing. We are engaging one-to-one with our end consumer and ensuring that he gets the best experience that possible through the app, right? Which is very deeply personalized. So this the space of app-only marketing is huge. It's about 130 billion US dollars, and it's just heating up because companies like Amazon is just entered the fray. They've started focusing the app strategy as well. So the war is, the war is on, and obviously we stand to gain as customers. All right. The next one that I'm talking about is programmatic, and before I do that, I just want to make sure that keep a check on time. All right, I have about we're almost over 39. I'm going to just zip through this one. All right, so programmatic advertising is probably the future of digital display advertising, right? What is programmatic advertising? It's essentially using technology to have buy and sell media space. Earlier, all the media buying decisions used to happen where the media buyers, the media planners, actually, wine and dine, the different people, the brands, and then talk about buying and selling about 10 or 15 spaces there per se. But that number or that behavior is in the past now, because the numbers we're trying to look at is we've gone from 10 to 20 ads or ad buying opportunities to actually a million plus opportunities a second, right? Now, this whole thing is being automated using machine learning algorithms, and one of the major factors or major ways of programmatic advertising is called real-time bidding. So the permutations and combinations an algorithm goes through, right, to decide which publisher sites should I display my ad, how many pages do these sites have, what should be the dimension of this ad display, what's the device type in which the consumer is going to browse and get to this website, what time of the day works best to engage them, what day of the week, what sentiment, blah blah blah, right? There are tons and tons of permutations, combinations at play here. So what we're bringing in with a machine learning algorithm is that we're actually doing away with the human inefficiencies, right? Cost efficiency and operational efficiency. That's what we're talking about. Now, this is a very generic case study which will help us understand this new trend around programmatic ads, right? So imagine a website like Yahoo. I don't know today. All of us still use Yahoo, but the Yahoo homepage, right? Imagine two different types of customers getting onto the website, Yahoo website. One of them is Jack, who's probably 53 years old, who's a CFO of MNC, and he's basically looking for his next holiday, luxury holiday options. On the other hand, we have a younger female content writer, Jill, who works for an ad agency. She's interested in something else. She's interested in cross-training equipment because she's a gym or a fitness freak, right? Now, Yahoo homepage gets millions of impressions. Right? Unfortunately, before RTB came in, or the programmatic display ads started becoming popular, the exact same ad would be served to both these guys, to both Jill and Jack, right? For example, they're looking at Southwest.com. Maybe Jack is impressed with that because Jack is looking at flying out, but that's useless for Jill. Now, with the advent of RTB, right? So RTB, it's just nothing but Yahoo essentially auctions this whole advertising space on their homepage to different, right? So that these guys can actually show their specific ads to different audiences. That is based on the data that they capture about these audiences on their platform. For example, Google and a lot of advertisers use the Google platform, right? So pretty much any person who comes onto a website that is actually allied with the Google advertising platform, and he's the whole concept of retargeting, right? I don't know if you guys are aware of the retargeting concept, where the same kind of ad is being shown repeatedly to you wherever you go, right? And you feel that the same ad is following you somewhere, and that's essentially the retargeting or the magic of RTB. So now with Yahoo having sold its homepage um, real estate to advertisers, let's say Air France and Fitbit. And so Jack essentially sees the Air France ad, while Jill sees the Fitbit or Nike ad. So it works out well for both the publisher and the consumer. So that's the programmatic ad explained. So the last trend I'm talking about today is mobile advertising or the mobile wallet concept, right? Payments using mobiles. So mobile, it's still a new concept. It's just picking up, and it still need to be seen whether this is going to become an all-pervasive solution, which people might adopt. Can we see a life without wallets? All these are questions which still remains to be answered. But this statistic about the usage of adults actually use mobile devices while shopping in store for a large variety of things, right? This underlines the potential mobile has to become an all-pervasive solution for digital wallets. So what's a digital wallet or a mobile wallet? It's nothing but a digital equivalent of your typical physical wallet. It's a platform that allows these consumers to use mobile to do financial transactions. I'm not going into the details about how a mobile wallet works per se, and that's a topic for another rainy day. And I definitely am interested to talk about that, but we don't have time today for that. But yeah, I'm going to be jumping to the next slide on that one. Yeah, a few statistics of how this is picking up in a country like India, where the number of mobile smartphone users has been on the rise, right? So today I think there are about 213 million mobile internet users, not necessarily a smartphone user, because that's number about 150 million. But people who use internet, connect to internet using mobile, that's 213 million, and that's growing. And there are a lot of players that are actually becoming big in the space. Paytm is one of the primary big players in the mobile wallet space, and Paytm claims to have captured about 50 million users in their 15 months of operations. So Ajit Narayan, who actually heads social media for this another company called MobiQuick, he claims that their user base has grown by 3 times, right, which is 300%. They're at about 15 million now, and they claim to eventually convert the entire 900 million phone users in India to start making payments using mobile devices. So I think the primary factors that have driven the adoption of mobile wallets are two. One is the fact that in a country like India, majority of transactions are done using cash, and there is that huge potential to convert all of that into digital money. The second is the need for an alternative solutions to bank, right? So recently we had the 11 payment banks that have got the RBI nod to start functioning, right? So that's a big win. That's actually a first for any country across the world. So all these are at least the start of a huge new revolution with respect to digital wallets and mobile wallets as well. Last case study for the day. There's a small company called Momo, which are actually making cashless payments at restaurants a reality now. So Momo claims to help your life get much easier by ensuring that we can do pretty much the live tabs, split our bills, and pay on the phone without ever waiting for the waiter to come and give us the bill itself in any restaurant. So they're actually in Bangalore, a city that's just tying up with a lot more merchants outside the restaurant space as well. They're trying to look at adding in food and groceries as well, and from an advantage point of view, there are a lot of things which are very attractive about this whole concept, right? So we're looking at improving the productivity from a waiter side. Um, Obviously, there are tons of apps today which help you do home delivery of groceries. Was just going to be another player in that. If they actually, load on a lot of retail stores as well, the whole problem of queues during the billing that can be taken care of, right? Momo claims to have got about 10% retention rate of people coming back to use Momo once because they like the whole experience. And there's a whole network chain here, right? The more the number of merchants that sign up, the more the number of customers who would be interested in using Momo as an app. So the network effect is definitely in play here, and we're hoping that this company is growing its network towards positive effect. So yeah, so from a merchant point of view as well, a few questions that they would like to, like the advantages from their point of view is the fact that Momo doesn't charge them a sign-up fee, nor do they charge a monthly fee. Another thing is obviously for a restaurant is that the app itself is a repository of the customer information, right? So this can be bought later for running a lot of specific niche targeted campaigns to these customer cohorts. So yeah, so that was it from my side, and I'm gonna take a look at the questions right now to see if questions come out. Questions now. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys have the next 10 minutes on the floor to shoot any questions that you would have for me. Please type the questions in the questions panel, and we can have a back and forth. I don't see any specific questions. Wow, 10 minutes more for you guys to voice out any question that you may have. So I think, yeah, sure, absolutely, Ajay. So Ajay, yeah, cool. So Ajay wanted to make sure that I share the PPT definitely. So the whole recording of this whole webinar would be on my website. So that will be registered participants. That you guys have around trends that we discussed today, app only marketing or first party data or mobile wallets. Please do feel free to probably shoot me an email as well. So my email ID is sachin.dev@gmail.com. If you would like to know about data analytics and how that whole trend is shaping up for uh, the coming year. Okay, how secure are mobile wallets? Vikram Anwar. All right, that's a question around related to that's a great question. That, that's that's one thing which is the data security, letting people jump onto this whole bandwagon. Which what is not clear today is see earlier regulation about a two-step authentication for pretty much any transaction that happened. But with the mobile wallets, the RBI has actually taken off that whole two-step authentication process, right? So that's a step. I would say so there are two ways to think about it, but I personally think that that's a right step towards ensuring that we get more people to join the whole mobile wallet bandwagon, right? the data security is always a question when it comes to financial transactions. And obviously, all the mobile companies. Okay. Okay, Vikram has a follow-up question on that. Any third-party company which certifies the app? Uh, so Vikram's question is about, is there any third-party company which certifies the apps and the mobile wallets security? I don't know if there is a concept around certification of these apps with respect to the security per se, but every mobile wallet company has to register and then uh, follow abide by the regulations as put in by the RBI, right? Uh, Before they can claim to be a mobile wallet company. So obviously, it goes through its own due course of you know you know uh, checks in place to make sure they can offer a mobile wallet to the end consumer. So RBI obviously has a regulation, but they're doing the right things in terms of for a lot of transactions on mobile wallets which are less than a specific amount, the two-step authentication has been taken off. So that's probably a step in the right direction. But thank you for asking that, Vikram. That's a great question. We have 5 more minutes, and I'm going to hang around that time frame for any other question. But I'm going to use this time to also talk about all these trends that we talked about today. Um, we would be covering, I will be covering all this in much more detail in a course from Edureka called Practitioner's Guide to Digital Analytics, right? So, and we would be covering specific hands-on tools around Google Analytics and a lot of specific frameworks that are, live and being used by companies in the analytics space to deal with digital data, be it social media or paid search or paid media or display advertising or the entire website analytics, right? What are the frameworks that typically companies use today in the market to help solve such problems? I would be definitely taking all that in detail to a hands-on session in the course called the Practitioner's Guide to Digital Analytics. Okay, Ajay has a question. If there is any tool which will help one, tons and tons of third-party tools out there which you track. Okay. A follow-up comment on that from Ajay is that Keyhole doesn't work there anymore. So firstly, I'm not aware of Keyhole per se, but you could definitely try Hootsuite. And what I could do is if you could drop me an email, I could follow up with you, and I could give you a couple more leads on that in terms of which are the other smaller firms which are using which can actually track Facebook hashtags. Right? But is there a specific use case that you want to solve, Ajay, in terms of tracking Facebook hashtags? Because firms like Hootsuite and others. Okay, right. Ajay talks about this is going to be used for contest. Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. But companies like Hootsuite, what it does, what gives you is it gives you a larger, dashboard that tracks across different forms. Facebook hashtags is definitely one of them. I don't know, but yeah, we can talk in detail. You could probably drop me an email at sachin.p@gmail.com. I could get back to you on specifics. Oh, okay. Ajay says Hootsuite doesn't give Facebook hashtag, but I would need to cross check on that one because one of my friends works as a product manager at Hootsuite. I remember having this conversation with her. But yeah, let me get back to you on that one, Ajay. Thanks for asking. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Vikram has a very interesting take on this. On the app only marketing. Vikram talks about aren't we giving away too much information about our life on the mobile? Exactly my point, my friend. Exactly my point. I'm too of the same opinion that by installing an app, giving an app permission to look into my entire life that is out there, right? They're pretty much exploiting my privacy and my data to market stuff to me which I probably don't need or which I wasn't aware that I probably need. But yeah, that is, I agree with you on the point in terms of, I mean, I'll be giving away too much of our data using apps. There should be some kind of a, data governance in place. And I don't know if TRI is going to come down heavily on all these companies which are doing too much push notifications uh, to do to drive in the name of personalization, right? Yeah, it's a wait and watch game. So we're hoping that something will happen. And the governing bodies like TRI can actually come down heavily on such firms. Chetan had a question. Chetan Ahuja, how advanced is Indian marketing attribution analytics? All right, so attribution analytics is a completely, it could be a 1 hour session. I could talk about what we're doing around attribution analytics, but with respect to Indian marketing companies, they're pretty advanced. So, see, the app usage data is humongous, right? And Vikram says it's happening live right now. Yes, absolutely, my friend. But yeah, coming back to Chetan's question, so the kind of personalization frameworks that a company like a Zivame.com, has in place to target, their target audience, uh, all that is tremendous, right? So Indian companies, Indian brands are actually doing a lot of advanced analytics, a lot of data science methodologies are being used to come up with specific personalization frameworks. Okay. All right, so we are almost at the top of the hour, but it's been a fantastic session. You guys have been a great audience. Really nice questions. Thank you so much. I would look forward to hearing your feedback about the session uh, as such. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email me at sachin.dev@gmail.com. I'd be happy to take up with you and follow up. Okay, one last question. Chetan has a question around, should I do an IBM certification on core metrics? So Chetan, depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? So is it in the area of web analytics that you're looking at? If yes, so core metrics probably is. So see, first thing is you would probably need to understand how many companies out there are actually using core metrics as a web analytics solution. Google is ubiquitous. It's easy to start tagging your website in Google, and it's very easy to start using Google Analytics. And Google Analytics is a really powerful tool as well. So my short answer to should I do an IBM certification? Probably you should check out Google, and that'd be easier and a faster way to get certified in the web analytics side of things. Okay. All right, Chetan, I would appreciate if you could, drop me an email and then we could continue the conversation. We are beyond our time here today, but thank you so much for all the questions. It was great, and look forward to seeing some of you probably sign up for the course, and we could, have a much more detailed one-to-one conversations during the classroom sessions. Thank you so much again. Bye, and have a good night.